Hi everyone, and welcome to Priority Holder. And today we're doing a mixed-up Premier draft. And so you get to keep the rares from this, so I'm going to follow my usual rare drafting pattern. I'm going to select Cloudstill Kieran. It's equipment that sort of grants Platinum Angel ability. Scanning over the other cards, and just to preface this format, what it is it's all the current arena legal sets sort of mixed together, following the same rarity and uncommon, common, etc. It's just those slots can be occupied by any card of the arena sets. So that's why you're seeing things in here. So some people call it a chaos draft, but it honestly feels sort of cube-like in that manner. Now looking at pack 2, Anya, Maid of Dishonor, jumps out immediately. And that's one thing about these formats is it rewards knowledge across formats. And so I actually don't have like the best knowledge of the two recent Innistrad sets, but I do know that Anya, Maid of Dishonor, is an insanely strong card, so you could see me snatch that up without really much consideration of anything else. We'll go over more what she does later, but she synergizes with other vampires and just intrinsically good card. So with this format of cards showing up from all kinds of sets, you have to sort of just choose on power level. There's not many synergies that end up carrying over. So, for example, Reptilian Reflection in the previous, in pack 1 requires like a critical mass of cycling. You're unlikely to get that going with the way the packs are, and there's just not enough cycling in all the sets. So things like that sort of fall apart. So you're just going off power level. So you can get some synergies to pull through. Like I'm hoping to have some vampire thing going with Anya. And we see a lot of red cards in this pack, so we'll have to see where it goes. And once again, just sort of looking for just raw power level. So like, it's sort of like fundamentals limited. You want your powerful cards, your removal, and your just hyper effective creatures, stuff like that. This is just a rare draft move right here, grabbing Lich's Mastery. It's not great in the draft format. Just seeing who's in the pod, see if I recognize anyone. Not that I know that many people, but still, just checking. We'll have to see how this develops. Cloudstill Kieran is like, 3 mana, 3/2 flyers. Fine, like it's great. But Anya's the one that I'm like really interested in playing. And one of the picks I grabbed, Dark Bargain. Original Dominaria, 4 mana instant. You can sort of get some card selection. And yeah, discard spell. Gates Ablaze. This is a classic, not good card, Gates Ablaze. Even though it was really strong in its format, there's the synergy is not here to support it. Bloodcrate Socialite is sort of a medium. It's not a very exciting card, but does get more exciting the fact that we have a vampire. So considering Lethal Exploit, though, that's one that honestly that doesn't seem super supported. Like I don't know, it has some upside, but it seems like a pretty low tier removal spell. But end up snatching it anyway. Can't remember what my mentality here was. Maybe I was trying to wield the vampire, thinking no one else would really want it, and picking up the removal spell. But it's, like I said, it's not a high tier removal spell in this sort of format. Though there is some modifications, like we already have an equipment creature, so it's not unheard of to get the upside, but we'll have to see how that goes. Waiting to see what we get. And it's excusable that people need to read cards in this format because there's like 10 different sets that are fed into it, so it makes sense people need to read the cards, and if they're not familiar with every single set. Now Cabaret Ascendancy, not that great. The Broker's Ascendancy was the standout from that set. The Imp is one that I played before, but yeah, that's just a pure rare draft move right there. So right now, the draft is still young. We're sort of closing in on Mardu colors, but we'll have to see. Now, another, Volcapete is one that I really liked a lot in Ikoria. Corey's Briefcase is good. We see another Blood-Crazed Socialite. You could see me agonizing over the Volcapete. Like, I do like that one a lot, but the vampire, we have something that rewards vampires already, so that's what's making me choose Blood-Crazed Socialite. And you could see me panicking for a second right here because I selected it and it did not enter my pool. There is a known bug that pops up from time to time in these drafts where you select something and it just doesn't appear. So I'm trying to think, you could see me wondering what's going on. Because right now it seems like I'm short a card and like it says I currently have a pack. Anyway, we'll have to see if it eventually shows up. Now, Skymarch Bloodletter is just really solid. Sad to pass both of those lands. They could have been decent fixing for our colors. Oh, lost connection. Okay. Okay, so yeah. So anyway, game back where we need to. Gonna grab the vampire, even though the fixing is very tempting. We still don't really know what our colors are, so like, if it was more clear, then maybe the fixing would have been stronger as like a guaranteed inclusion, like the black-white land, for example. Really hoping I didn't miss that Skymarch Bloodletter. We're sort of having that visual glitch happening again. The Blood-Crazed Socialite is in the mix. It is a little worse because it's a 4-mana creature. Like, there's only so many of those we can actually play, so not too excited about that fact. And looking what we have remaining from our original pack, the most splashable card is Master's Rebuke, so you could see me snatch that up. And another card just sort of disappears into the void. So it could be just some sort of connection issue that I was having, or it could be on Arena's end. It's hard to tell. But it is frustrating when this happens because you have to either assume you got what you picked and then keep building with that assumption. But sometimes it actually doesn't give you that card, and then, so there are things like this that can happen that could sort of not exactly derail you, but it can cause annoying problems during the draft. Fortunately, I've encountered this enough that I was pretty certain which bug was happening, and that I did in fact have those cards, and so I just kept drafting with the assumption that those cards would show up at the very end. Okay, and so you can see something happened that caused a bunch of packs to pile up on me. So I'm looking at the Vampire Synergy, at the Vampire Neonate, and the Riveteer's Requisitioner. I think I should really take the Riveteer's card. The Neonate is just not doing a lot. We see we did wheel the second Socialite. Okay, so changing the view seemed to fix the problem, though the Skymarch Bloodletter is still missing. Though we get a late Fiery Intervention, not a great removal spell, but it's like it can be serviceable. We would love to upgrade that if possible. Now, I know I played a lot of Adventures of the Forgotten Realms, so I know Gelatinous Cube is really good. It's sort of like a Banisher Priest kind of creature with the upside of being able to send that exiled thing into the graveyard. And it keeps the rare drafting train going. So we have Marauding Raptor. Works together best with dinosaur spells. Doesn't synergize with small creatures. Works with large creatures, so might try and play it. We'll have to see about that. and really not settled into any color at this point. Like black's looking like the most, most likely one. That creature right there, Incendiary Oracle, just like a really strong 2-mana creature that scales well into the late game, and has like a little exile upside when kills creatures. So very happy to pick that up, and looking like we're drifting into red black, possibly with the white splash, but definitely not locked in. This path doesn't look too exciting. There is a vampire, but it just, it's not great. It's for party synergy, which it's going to be sort of hard to pull off in this kind of format. Nothing else is really standing out, like besides like Tillinolly's Knight as just basically a 2-mana 2/2. End up just rare drafting the Sorcerer's Spyglass out of that pack. The deck does seem to be coming together reasonably. There are too many 4-mana spells for my liking at this point, but just sort of how it goes sometimes. Unfriendly Fire seems pretty nice. It's not amazing at killing creatures, but the fact that it could be direct damage for ending games makes it pretty enticing. I also do like Griffin Protector, but not certain we're playing white, especially because like a lot of our cheap plays are red. So yeah, we take the removal spell, and once again it does not show up. So this is annoying thing. Okay, so it did show up now. And we'll have to see if that Skymarch Bloodletter ever showed up. I'm not sure if a replacement card got picked. Maybe the Clear the Mind? Not sure, not certain, but Skymarch Bloodletter is a 2-mana 2/2 flyer that drains for 1 when it enters the battlefield. It happens to be a vampire, so it's just a good aggressive creature, and it synergizes with Anya, so I'm hoping we end up getting that card that we tried to select way back in pack 1. Scanning over things, there's nothing super exciting. The thing about Fen Hauler, it has improvise, so it means like artifacts can help cast it. And so we do have a few ways to make blood tokens. So like there's like a little bit of synergy there to help cast the Fen Hauler. So that was the justification there, but it's a bit of a stretch. Careless Celebrant is very serviceable 2-mana creature. Desperate to try and lower our curve, so we snatch that up right away. So looking at the red and black offerings here. Live Fast, another Fen Hauler, the Spireside Infiltrator. I keep checking Live Fast because it looks very similar to the counterpart card. I forget its name, but that's like a removal spell. So I kept trying to make sure I was not accidentally passing a removal spell. I'm just scanning over the cards, making sure understand everything that's been picked so far. 2-mana 3/1 that can, has menace if you have an artifact. It's not that great. I'm not sure if it needed the like enters the battlefield tap nerf on it, or at least like that downside added onto it. But once again, we should have some blood tokens, and so 2-mana 3/1 menace is not the end of the world. Journey to Oblivion's tempting. Sizzling Barrage is okay. We could try and splash Journey. You could see me sort of looking at the color breakdown. Honestly, maybe you should just take Sizzling Barrage here. Okay. Looks like I did try to take it, and then once again the card didn't show up, so maybe it'll show up again in a second. I'm not sure what. Boy, this has just been a roller coaster draft. Okay. All right, so I lost connection again and was able to rejoin. Okay, so we did end up with the journey. We tried to pivot right at the end, but the connection didn't let us. So I'm just pulling out the cards and know that I won't be playing, or at least that are unlikely to be played. And the Sky March did make it back in, so that's fortunate. So just pulling the cards back out. The White Splash looks pretty unlikely at this point that we'd be able to like gather enough fixing with like essentially one pack left. So Price of Betrayal is like a threaten effect. Tillinolly's Knight has essentially no upside in our deck, but it's a 2-mana 2/2, which does the job sometimes, so we select it in that case. Giant Growth strong, but it's not where we're at right now. And 2 different Mind Rot effects. We take the one with more upside. Not sure we'll be playing any of those. Dinosaur Stampede is... It could actually make the cut. We seem to be not so low to the ground, more like big bulky creatures, so it's not as good as that in that scenario. So Solemnity is our rare, not good in draft. Possibly we'll rare draft it. The other uncommons are not exciting for us at all either. Yeah, just the disciplined rare draft pick right there, not even considering anything else. Alright, so yeah, was about to rare draft, but you could see me agonizing. There's a Lightning Strike. Lightning Strike is so good. Rare drafting is good, but so is winning games, and so there's always that tension of how much you're willing to sabotage. And I caved here and grabbed the Lightning Strike because it's power level. I mean, it's just really high power level. It can literally win games by itself. So if you can get the opponent to 3, you can just draw it and close out the game. So look at this next pack. Mass Blackguard is okay. There's the Learn Lesson card, which those are very, very strong, but it's extra hard to get the Learn cards and the Lessons. So I end up just rare drafting the Dinosaur. There wasn't much competition in that pack. But you can see we have something serviceable building up here. You could see me starting to trim all the white cards out. It's just not going to happen. Trying to be disciplined. And just having numerous server errors during this draft. Hopefully not missing too many picks while this is happening. And yeah, this is just an unfortunate reality sometimes. Okay, so then this pack shows up and wow, there is a lot of cards we would love to pick. Knight of Dust Shadow is just really strong, one of the best cards in its format. Revenge of Ravens is like essentially unbeatable card against many decks, so I didn't have a lot of time to choose, but took Revenge of Ravens. We are so slammed at the 4-drop spot, so like there is a strong argument for the Knight. Very happy to take the Kaldheim uncommon land here. Has a red-black activated ability that makes the opponent discard a card and lose some life. So just packing that utility into our mana base is extremely valuable. Would love to pick up a couple more lands of that nature, but it's unlikely at this point. Just checking the creature count to see how we're doing. Falmar Knight's pretty good because it can like essentially cycle. It can draw a card and then you can cast it later. Phyrexian Vivisector. I'm tempted by that one. Surprised I'm not going for the Falmar Knight. Okay, maybe I'm pivoting. I can't remember, but that Kaldheim land is really huge. Like it's guaranteed to make our deck, and it's going to make it just that much more powerful at like a very low inconsistency hit. It's just one end of battlefield tap land after all. So Blood Glutton is in fact a vampire, but it's just, I don't know, it's just not great at all. 5 mana, 4/3 life. Think just trades down with so many creatures. I grab it for the sideboard, but I'm not happy at all and don't think I'm going to play it. Gravedigger, on the other hand, is really good. Yeah, you can return a creature from your graveyard to your hand, so it just rebuys things, and it's just a classic great card. And another 4-mana card to agonize over in the cuts at the end. Watchers of the Dead versus the 7 Dwarves. End up taking Watchers, because we're not going to get any other 7 Dwarves. Well, I say that, and then there's another one right there. But Watcher is colorless, so maybe I should have been paying more attention to the 7 Dwarves counts as they flew by. But I ended up taking a removal spell in that pack anyway. And that removal spell has like cycling, or like you cast it for full price and kill a bigger thing. So discounting the land, we are sitting at 24 cards right here, so we'll have to cut one thing. You can see me starting to trim things down. Joda's Codex is really strong, but this isn't the kind of deck to really take advantage of it. And then extremely happy to see the Flowstone Infusion. That is like really good early interaction. It can also provide a little extra burst of damage if you have a creature with high enough toughness. So that was a card I was originally considering picking the first time around. So the fact that we're able to get it that late is really, really nice. And just make it through the last picks before we build the deck and start the games. So that was like a rocky draft, mostly because, not necessarily because of the draft itself, but because of like the connectivity issues and like vanishing cards and stuff like that. But we managed to weather it pretty well. And yeah, Eye Collector is an easy cut, so just trying to figure out, looking at Vampire Neonate, it's much better in defensive decks. And yeah, so just that one's a pretty easy cut. It does have like the vampire upside, but that's just not enough to justify it. I do like that card, but it's better than more like a blue-black deck where it can block and then grind out the game later on. So, but 15 creatures is what I like to see. There are a lot of 4-mana spells like that. That is like the biggest weakness of this deck, is that it's a little clunky, but they all sort of serve a purpose. They're either vampires or like intrinsically strong, and so it's hard to cut them. So, but yeah, this is the deck we ended up with. All right, time for game one. Pretty amazing hand. Just go ahead and put the tap land into play. There is an argument for keeping up the red mana, but there aren't too many 1-mana things you even care about in draft, so definitely doesn't seem worth it. Play the Celebrant and pass. Alright, so opponent has a creature that's a tapper, and they snap off the block. And, I was sort of surprised to see that block, honestly. I thought, they would value the tapper a little higher than that, so, but maybe they just had a lot of creatures that died to the death trigger, so, anyway. We have the Infiltrator, which, whenever it becomes tapped, deals the damage, so, and can thankfully attack past the Pegasus, so this is a good turn to just slam Revenge of Ravens. And Revenge of Ravens is probably my most hated card in Throne of Eldraine draft, so I feel a little hypocritical playing it here, but it's just strong, so you just gotta do what you gotta do. But it just causes some weird situations to happen. Okay, so opponent plays another beefy toughness creature. And opponent, are they doing this attack? They're thinking about it. Oh man. Okay. They're about to learn a pretty hard lesson from Revenge of Ravens, but they're able to back out of it in time. So you can't attack with one power creatures into Revenge of Ravens because it's a net negative for you. Each attacking creature drains them for 1. So they're still dutifully adding to the board, and they know that it's a risky thing to try and race us, so they're not sending in with their 2/4 flyer because that sort of opens up the ground for us to attack. And Revenge makes it really basically like impossible for them to race us. Alright, so we finally find land number 5, play the Foulmire Knight, and pass the turn. So opponent might be like color screwed over there. We see there's only 1 blue source. We just take the damage. But we really only took 1 damage because of Revenge of Ravens, so you could see me thinking like if this is a good turn to try the removal, or if we need to like keep up pump mana for the blackguard. Decide just to shoot their highest toughness creature. Yeah, and this allows us to get a big attack in. So they do have some blocks they can try and line up. But this clears the board a little bit and drops them to 12. And the thing about Revenge of Ravens is that, you know, eventually they'll lose enough life where they can't actually afford to attack us at all. And that's where we want to get them. And we've got to remember that we have that land lurking on our side that can pitch in for some more damage in the end. Yeah, trying to decide the attacks. Send in with the 2/1 because it can threaten to pump and take out their 1/3. Okay, so they decide to at least make us try and do it. So we're waiting to see if they have like a trick. And so alright, so they do have Blink of an Eye. So that is the reason I didn't go for the second one, because I was anticipating some sort of trick. So we just let it happen, and it's not a big loss for us. So they do find a second blue source. Notably, they weren't able to kick Blink of an Eye before, so they weren't able to get like full value. That was more of like a desperation Blink of an Eye. Once again, mulling over attackers, deciding not to rush into things because, like Elvis says, only fools rush in. Alright, so we're playing our big insect and passing the turn. Okay, so bring to trial, exiles our big insect. The opponent's hanging in there, but it looks like they're flooding out now. And that's not a place you want to be against Revenge of Ravens. We're flooding out as well, but we have creatures that we can pour the mana into. Now with the Infiltrator that can ping for 1 essentially, and then the blackguard that can pump, decide to just go for it here. And you could see me trying to be careful about the auto tapper. And the land that we have is another reason I'm making this play right here, because we just want them to keep falling, and we're just trying to apply so much pressure here. So opponent essentially needs to do something right now or they lose the game. Okay, so they pass. And so, yeah, playing the land for full pump option since we have 2 different creatures with pump abilities. Okay, so they do have a flash creature. The opponent's choosing their blocks. And so, yeah, we have the land down there, so I'm just trying to make sure I don't make any mistakes. They do have 1 card left, like it could be some like sort of pocket life gain thing, but decide just to act. Oh, no, I guess, okay, so decide not to even use the land. just sort of go all in on the creature they left unblocked, and that is actually enough for the win. Alright, next game, we have our trusty land again, and this time we have Anya. You could see the clunkiness showing up here. Opponent's having a fast start, and we're drawing all 4 mana spells. We have 4 of them so far, and opponent is going to be granting haste to all their creatures. Thankfully, we have a 2 mana play, so we can at least put up some semblance of defense, but they already have a menace creature out, so it's not looking good. Let's see if they can keep curving out on us. Okay, Roiling Vortex. It's something that can prevent life. It can deal us damage, and it can prevent life gain from us. So, and the question is, do we... So I end up attacking in. And we play the Infiltrator. Just going for like maximum mana efficiency at this point. There's something to be said for like use the removal spell on the menace creature. But as you could see, it's a good thing we saved it because they have a 4/2 coming down. So we get pinged again. And a 7 mana spell is not going to really help. So I end up just attempting to move the 4/2. It works. And sending in right here. So I'm trying to race them basically. It is a gamble. I'm not sure I can race as effectively as their deck, especially with like onboard haste. And their enchantment's eating out our life total, so we'll have to see what happens. And that... And then, wow, we'd sort of get an unexpected concession there, because it really didn't feel like we were ahead, but maybe opponent had like a black splash or something like that. So it's hard to say how we survived and won that one, but we did, and we take those. Anyway, we're in the middle of the next game, somehow sitting at 2-0. We put our most expendable creature into play. Yeah, and so they end up removing it. The other ones we have are much better. And so you could see me playing the red card because we have less red mana. We're trying to prioritize and be able to double spell whenever we can. Now their creature requires another zombie in play in order to be able to block, which they don't have. So we can just send it in. And our creature has flash. I play it here because they might have a counter spell. We're just gonna deny them potential counter spells. So they attack in for 3. And once again, you could see the clunkiness of the deck, you know, showing up here. We managed to escape out of the last scenario where it was starting to come back to bite us, but we'll have to see what happens this time. Just tons of 4 and 5 mana spells in hand and not able to deploy them. And so this is why you want plenty of 2 mana spells, because you could sort of weather the storm when this happens to you until you can draw out of it. Now this is pretty bleak right here. Grotesque Demise, the prowess trigger, and we take 6. And so the land is great. Question is, what do we do? Now I think this, I'm not liking this right here. This is just way too aggressive an attack right here. I just have a very aggro mindset, and sometimes as I'm rewatching these, I'm just like, what am I doing? That was way too aggressive. It's putting a lot of faith in this ooze being able to hold them off. And the ooze itself is sort of fragile, so... Okay, so opponent gets a prowess trigger. And they get the fire off Inquisition, and that was just a horrendous turn for us right there. So you could see the attack I made was just terrible. And so, attempting to claw my way back in it, but they have a flyer we have no answer for at the time being. Opponent does an upkeep Renegade Map search, which is a good play by them. It helps thin the deck a little bit before their draw step. Let's see if it pays off. They send with the flyer. And so, we're definitely not out of this game. Okay, yeah, so this is a decision point. We could have tried to cycle the Deem Worthy to deal 2 to the flyer, but the fact that it's prowess, we could have gotten blown out really badly. So I ended up just spending that removal spell instead. Now this Scry 2 is very valuable from the opponent. Don't like to see them keeping 1 on top. That is not good news for us. So you could see like how having like an extra blocker might have been helpful. Like that one turn I decided to attack. Trying to decide what to do now. That one creature is very annoying because if it dies, then something else gets a shield counter. So decided to kill the one without it. Leaving the black mana open for the Foulmire Knight. I think this attack is more advisable. It is concerning that they kept a card on top, but yeah, I mean they're almost dead, and we're trying to close the game out here. So played Incendiary Oracle and pass. Now this is something they purposely kept on top, and now we could see why. If they had accidentally attacked, that would have made a huge difference. But now they're able to make a copy of their demon and get a little shield counter. So this one was tough. I think I was a little too aggro on certain of the turns. Was trying to see how, if they let some damage through, we might have been able to burn them out. So this one, I think some small mistakes led to our demise there. Snap off that mulligan, just clunky spells and not the right colors. This looks much better. Trying to decide. Looks like I'm putting Lethal Exploit back, but I think Revenger Ravens might be better to put back. Yeah, it's tough because Lethal Exploit's like early interaction. But like I've said before, Revenger Ravens, like some decks literally can't beat it. So opponent plays Pass Wall Adept, a card I like a whole lot from Guilds of Ravnica draft. So love playing that card. It's just, it plays a really good defensive role and then can switch over to offense by providing unblockability for your creatures. So attacking in here, hoping they just no block. So opponent's thinking about it. If they no block, it's just free damage. If they block, they could be trying to bait us into something. Like if we try and pay for the pump and they bounce it, then it's like a tempo loss for us. It was mostly just sort of checking what they would do. I had no intention to pump our creature with 3 blue against 3 blue mana. But opponent gets to counter our creature anyway, so didn't really work out that well for us. So they pass again. So a repeat of last turn, attacking into the 1/3. Now because we have a 2-mana creature, decide to just activate it and just see if they have anything to do about it. Like we don't care about the Incendiary Oracle that much. Okay, so they have like the perfect answer. They turn their creature into a 5/5 temporarily, so we can't outpump that with this much mana. So they eat our Oracle, but we play a 3/1 afterwards. So opponents had some blue tricks going on. So they attack with the 1/3 and pass. I don't know if they just expect us to be able to grant it menace. Okay, so that's what's happening. They play the Scion, they high roll, and they're able to lock it down. So decide to play Anya here. They still could have a counter, but we have Gravedigger, so it wouldn't be the end of the world. but it actually resolves. Now you're actually going to start seeing the power of Anya. I mean, it's already a 4 mana 4/5. I'm actually extremely happy to see Charmed Sleep on Anya because that's not enough to contain her. Like, being a 4/5 is great, but it's actually her like activated abilities that are like really strong. So basically, you could pay. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think you could pay 2 mana and sacrifice a vampire or a blood token to deal to drain for 2. And so she also, for the first time you cast a vampire each turn, you get a blood token. So we got 1 off the Socialite and 1 off Anya seeing the Socialite. And so now we basically have just packed in a bunch of direct damage. So we have a pretty good scenario here. So we have Menace on our 3/1. We have a 3/3 Menace as well. And can decide to sacrifice a blood token. Doesn't seem necessary with Anya being able to get so much value out of them. Now I knew this is a possibility, but we have just like a huge blowout here by cycling Deem Worthy. We can deal 2 damage to their small creature and then allow our 3/1 to take down their pass wall depth and sort of just destroy their defenses. And you could see the vampire synergies coming together real nice in this particular game. We just drew the other Socialite we have. Defiler of Dreams is pretty strong. Like, that's a card that maybe could like rumble against what we're doing. So trying to decide, the mana is like a little not working out right now. But because we have so much damage in the tank, just decide to send in. Here I do sacrifice it because our biggest constraint now is mana, and I knew this was just guaranteed damage. And we were getting 2 more blood tokens from the second Socialite. So that sacrificing the blood token for the Socialite attack there was sort of like a 0 mana Anya activation. You could think of it that way. So opponent plays mana geode. What they really want right now is blue permanents to keep, to start drawing cards off their Defiler. Okay, so they did get one. Alright, so they play the Sea Scavenger, they get a draw card. Now they get like a little sort of pseudo scry. And this is a very, very aggressive attack. I'm like astonished to see this from them. Like, they must not realize how dead they are if they do that. But we take that, and so do some number crunching here, but realize they can't block either Socialite. So if we attack with both of them, sacrifice a blood token to each of them, that's already 10 unblocked damage. And then we just need to do Anya 1 more time. So you could see me just preemptively activate Anya, and they're dead. So the blue removal did not line up well against Anya, and you could see her power here. That's why I was so excited to have that passed to me. I'm not sure what the uncommon or whatever that was in that pack that Anya was passed, that Anya was in, that was passed to us, but I'm relatively certain it was probably not the correct pick. But who knows? It could have been something worse. I mean, there's some whammy uncommons, so maybe I'm completely off in that, but she's very good. Now, happy to see a 3/1 coming in unopposed so far. Decided just to play the 2/1 without flash and then move on. Okay, so they play the Officer. Alright, so that's pretty nice. And yeah, just happily just attack in. So they trade with our 3/1. And decide to play the Sky March here. Oh, never mind. Play Revenge of Ravens. Okay, I think that's actually a mistake. They can't even attack us with that. Maybe I was trying to dodge like a counter spell or just really hyper-focused on mana efficiency, but watching that play now, I just don't like it. There is the upside of being able to double spell this turn, so like that is something, but I think having the 2-2 flyer out would have been much better. Okay, so opponent just plays some card draw in response to our vampire. And their life total is falling pretty fast. We do have some direct damage in hand, so that is good for us. But opponent is just doing a lot of setup right now. Shark to Crab is pretty good at brick walls a lot of our ground threats, except we have a removal spell. So the question is, do we remove Shark to Crab to get our attacks in, or do we save it for direct damage? You can see me snap it off to get rid of the Shark to Crab. I just felt like the opponent was on the ropes here, so we'll have to see. Alright, so they play a 2-3, start the whole day-night cycle, and the 2-3 lines up decent with what we have going on. And they're able to bite down our flyer, which is bad for us. So attacking with both. Yeah, so they block there. And we're able to double pump to eat their blocker, dropping them to 4. The opponent still has a lot of cards in hand. Jadelight Ranger is really good. And we see Bergstrider. Known powerhouse, definitely played a lot of those, and they have the requisite snow mana. So, and they play just this big wall that can just block endlessly. And then we start ripping land. So, it's hard to say, you know, because we don't know exactly what they had in hand, but you wonder, it feels like things are slipping away. And you wonder if that one earlier turn of, like, basically one extra turn of Skymarch Bloodletter attacking would have helped us get there. But we're just completely running out of juice right now. And basically just hoping Revenge at Ravens just makes it so they can't beat us and they just mill out or something like that. Okay, so opponent is able to flash back and create a 4-4. So they're just staying in this. Land is not great. We basically needed just anything there. Whatever we have, you know, just something. So it's giving opponent plenty of time to dig. Inspiring Overseer is going to bring their life total up a little bit and give them the card. It's just super strong. And here comes Bergstrider. Big problem. So they take out our best blocker. And they even feel comfortable enough to start attacking in. And they need to do it at some point. And let's see if they find a way to either get rid of Revenge or to gain more life. So we find our biggest creature, 5/5, which is it's honestly not bad here because it blocks their 4/4s. And Inspiring Overseer can't exactly attack very well right now. But opponent is able to get rid of Avenger Ravens. And that was like the last part I was hoping for, is that would hold us through. So you could see a transition to triple speed here. It's because I faced a long agonizing defeat, so I'm trying to speed through it. I kept holding on because there was still, so basically Anya at any point could have won us the game. I was calculating it out, and that's the reason why I kept playing it out despite everything you see going on, because if we drew her, she would create a blood, and she herself is a vampire. So you sacrifice the blood token, sacrifice her. At least at that point in time, there's still a ghost of a chance that we could win. However, you could see we did not draw her, and we just got beaten down over the course of multiple turns. Not to mention that there is also Lightning Strike. So, yeah. So we lost that one, but there are many turns where Anya could have just won us the game, despite us falling further and further behind. So, but an aggressive start from the opponent with the Ikoria card, Forbidden Friendship. We play a 2/2 to hopefully block their 1/1s. Opponent's hovering over our creature. Sticky Fingers. So now they have Menace, and because we can't block it, they're going to start getting treasures. Let's see. Alright, so they play that artifact creature. So let's see how good Sticky Fingers is for the opponent here. You could see me reading that card. It's been a while and didn't play against it a whole lot. Decide to attack in. Just not too scared of what they're doing yet. So we'll see if they punish us for that kind of attack. Now it seems like the opponent does really need the treasure mana, so this could help them like double spell and stuff, but they run out a 1/2 double strike and pass. So opponent is either on mono red or they're sort of color screwed right now, but they appear to be a very aggressive deck. And this is where Revenger Ravens really shines. Mono red essentially can't deal with it, and all their creatures are effectively 1 power, and so like they're all blanked by Revenger Ravens. So we'll see if we can just camp out behind it and watch them squirm. That is one way they can get around it. Sticking Cloud Piercer on their double striker. So now they have a 5/4 double strike. So I was feeling so confident and smug with Revenger Ravens, and it's not that great anymore. So yeah, we're not going to take 11 damage this turn. So you could see me trying to think like, can I afford to take the damage? Looking at what else they have in their graveyard. So we do have an answer to the Cloud Piercer, but we have to get a land. We need to pay the full price on Deem Worthy. So just activating Watchers of the Dead. It's probably not going to matter, but just for due diligence. And mercifully we draw the land, because that double striker was going to tear us apart. Making sure I click on the correct side to kill their big creature. And now we're back to hoping Revenger Ravens can contain them. And so, yeah. So the opponent attacks in with 2 of them. They must not be familiar with playing against it, because one power creatures can't pull ahead against Revenger Ravens. So they're just hemorrhaging their own life by doing that. And I don't blame them. This is why Revenger Ravens is such an annoying card, and why I hated it in Ikoria. Me with all my little aggro decks. Opponent would just have this clunky, not well put together deck, slam Revenger Ravens, and then all of a sudden it was basically hard to impossible to beat them. So opponent is able to gain back some life with the Battle Hymn. And they have a larger creature now to like bludgeon our life total with. So like them, I don't know why they keep attacking with Sticky Fingers. Maybe they need the treasures, or there's something's going on. Because like I said, 1 power creatures, it's a losing battle. But here we're able to sort of hammer their life total a little bit. By killing their first striker, we can get in with our menace creature and just chop their life total down, because Revenge puts so much attack, like Revenge of Ravens puts so much pressure on your opponent's life total if they're attacking you. Okay, so opponent's rummaging. They're able to get the 3/2. And they keep attacking it, so they must have some sort of artifact payoff or big mana payoff that they're collecting these treasures for, because they're sacrificing life to do that. And here's where it's going to cost them. Anya, Maid of Dishonor. So now I'm confident just to sit back and camp on Anya's activation. So opponent can send in with the 5/5 and decide just to no block right here, just to keep defenses up, because Anya's ability is a drain effect, and so we're going to gain that life back pretty rapidly. Oh, it doesn't even have... Oh, okay, so she can sacrifice any creature, not just a vampire, and then the Socialite there is just nail in the coffin. Just doing some math here, and the opponent has this turn to kill us, or they lose. So we got 2 blood tokens there, 2 mana open, so we're functionally at 10 life. Opponent's functionally at 6. And they have to kill us now because we can just sacrifice everything next turn to kill them. And so, trying to think of what to do. That's actually a pretty risky no block. I think I should have blocked there in case they had some sort of double strike thing like that. That was a pretty poor move. Like, we could have just blocked and sacrificed the creature that was blocked. Anyway, we left ourselves open for like a double strike whammy right there. So that was a misplay. We didn't end up getting punished for it, but should have known better. But now it's just academic, just activating Anya over and over, hoping they don't have some like pocket life gain to punish us. But we got there. And on to the next one. This deck's been quite fun so far. Definitely clunky at times, but we've gotten to see it sort of do its thing with Anya and the vampires. Very, very light vampire sub-theme. That is a problem. Flyer into the Omen Keel. Omen Keel is just a very good card. It's, it only crews for 1. It's a 3/3 attacker, and whenever it hits us, it gets to pull cards off the top of our library and put lands into play. So, not good news for us. So, really powerful start from the opponent. Yeah, so they're able to crew up the Omen Keel. And yeah, we just take it. It's not great to throw a creature under the bus just to stop them from getting some lands. But it's going to allow them to, as you can see, it basically never misses land drops for the rest of the game. We don't know if they can profitably use red mana, but they have it. Avian Eternal is another strong card. So opponents had just like all strong cards. The 1/1 bird is not super powerful, but it can play a good synergy role, and like obviously it's helping lay the beat down right now. So what do? Do we fire off the card draw? Do we just play 1/1 Death Touch? I opted for the card draw here. I don't know if that was the right move. It's tough because you want the card draw, you want something good, but maybe the 1/1 Death Touch was enough just to like get in the face of the Omen Keel and just try and stay alive. Because now, now a no block means we take 6 damage here. So I think I got way too greedy. But opponent is just having an amazing start. So we'll see if they can Frostveil Ambush, cycle that away. No follow-up, so I mean that's good for us. We want them to be doing the least amount possible for us to stay alive. So now we can finally play Foulmire Knight, and thankfully drew a creature to help us double spell. Like, if we're gonna have any hope of winning this game, we need to just deploy our hand as fast as possible. Alright, the Knight Arbiter. That's a Ravnica Allegiance card, and it's a 2/5 Vigilance unblockable. And that is a problem since our life total is so low. We have to kill it. Now we're able to deter the Omen Kill last turn. Thankfully, we finally have the Death Toucher out. So we have options. We could play the Ooze to grab the 2/5. We also have Deem Worthy decide to play the ooze because it gives us another creature in play, and we can use the deem worthy cycle mode to kill their 2/2 flyer. Like, that's sort of like the hope here, just going for as many upsides as we can imagine. Like, the ooze is fragile. You know, if they kill it or bounce it, they get their knight back. Okay, so they play the Kumano Saga. They get a Scry. This is bad, you know, so it's going to ping us for 1 and eventually turn into a 2/2 haste. So we have to remember that because we're at such a low life total. The flyers hammer us again. We fall to 2. So we're dead if we don't do anything about the flyers. We draw land, so that allows us to cycle deem worthy and still have lightning strike up. And so I'm very worried about the auto tapper, so I do it myself. Make sure to click cycling. There's not a lot, like they could stifle this with some random card, you know, but there's not a lot they can do, or have a pump spell, I guess. Thankfully, this goes through. All right, we draw a Gravedigger. That's excellent. That could come in handy. I'm trying to decide on attacks, but with the Omen Keel lurking back there, like it just seems a little too risky at this point. We're at 2 life. Like, we can't let anything through. So here comes the bird, and I'm trying to decide what to do. And I figured now's as good as time ever to lightning strike. Like, that thing will kill us, you know, in 1 more turn if we don't do anything about it. So, but opponent mysteriously has 4 cards in hand. It's just sort of letting us not die. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, they have so many colors of mana. They've shown that they can use our red mana that they stole from us. I'm expecting this to get countered or something like that. Wait, but it somehow resolves. Like, are we walking into a wrath or something? Like, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Kumano comes. We have to be mindful that it's hasty. So, like, they could play something else and have 3 attackers. So that's why I've been so conservative on the attacking, because, you know, they have a lot going on. So no attack from them. Another turn we get to stay alive. So decide to send these 2 attackers in. And since there's not much else we're doing, get some pump damage in. So now we're actually taking a good chunk out of their life total. So they fall to 9. And we could still play the Blood-Crazed Socialite. So, you know, we're still hurting pretty bad. You know, we're at 2. Like, there's a number of things they can do to kill us. This resolves, though. So we're just going to keep hanging on. Just waiting, you know, waiting to die. Like, the opponent now has 6 cards in hand. Right? So they play a land. Now they have 5 cards in hand. Tons of mana. Angel Fire Ignition. So now it's, oh boy, like, that is bad. Grants them a whole lot of keywords. So this right here, you'll eventually see that is the opponent. That's the mistake right there. They cast it twice on the same creature when they should have put it. They should have crewed the Omen Keel ahead of time and cast 1 on the Omen Keel and 1 on the Kumano, because this allows us to block in such a way as to leave the ooze out of combat, because that spell grants trample, and so we're able to chump the Omen Keel. I'm not sure if they would have guaranteed killed us doing it the way I said, but you can see here I'm able to tactically survive at 1 life. And notably not throw the ooze on their bus, so they didn't get their creature back. And so now, you know, we're still alive somehow. But yeah, by not splitting that spell with its flashback on 2 creatures, I think that was That was the mistake right there. So we go ahead and sack our blood token to rummage. And Revenge of Ravens. That is super good. So that is going to start helping us stabilize against them. Now, opponent does seem to be flooding out. Like, that could be part of the reason why we're not dead. Now, this is a pretty tough one right here. We had to chump their 6/6 with our 5/5. And notably, the Kumano is making all of our creatures die to exile. And so that's why, or sorry, die into exile. So that's why, you see them disappearing like that. It's making it so our Gravedigger can't pull them back through. Now, I attacked here for a reason. I got to eat up their life total, because if I do that enough, they won't be able to attack into Revenge of Ravens. So it sort of forced them to block, because they wouldn't be able to even attack us back. And now we could play Gravedigger for no value. But the opponent's in a predicament here, because they can attack us. But if we just chump, we can attack them back and then kill them. So attacking puts them down to 6. So we have to block here. I'm just trying to decide which creature to block with. But it was a very, very interesting game. A lot of like, I don't know, it really seemed early on that we were just going to get run over by the Omen Kill and just lose. So we have this removal spell, but at best it can only shrink something down. And then at Nightmare Scenario, we thought we were attacking in for the win. The opponent, however, is able to untap their creature. Now, fortunately, so I'm checking the mana here, like checking if I have enough to pay the Ooze activation to send the knight into the graveyard. And I'm very carefully clicking through all this, making sure I don't mess it up. Yeah, so before damage, doing that, and we have exactly enough to shrink their creature down to a 4/4 so that they trade. So now the opponent has no creatures on board, 4 life against the Revenger Ravens in our 2/2. And they have a Locket, which they can then crack to draw 2 cards. Play a land. And the opponent must have had like a very ambitious mana base, or just got horrifically flooded. But you can see here, here's the Immerstrom Skullkarn win right here. This is why you draft these kind of lands, because they can win the game. So get the good game from the opponent. And that was just like a nice long battle, and somehow we won that one. All right, on to the next one. Gala Greeters, that's a big problem. Thankfully, we can just nip it in the bud right away with Flowstone and Fusion. But that was an alarming turn 2 play from the opponent. We're desperate need of another land. The opponent plays Tillinolly's Knight. We play our Flash Creature. And we miss on land, so that is not great. Like, missing it for a turn we can come back from, but missing it much longer than that will not be... won't be able to survive that. And just another agonizing draw, because another land lets us get another creature, 2 other creatures out eventually, and really just get in this game. So opponent plays an enchantment that puts in a counter, and then it just starts doubling. So we finally find land number 3. It just seems like a too little too late situation. We get our infiltrator, don't have any good attacks, don't have any good blocks. So they get to double the number of counters on it. They play a 4-4 with haste. Sorry, 5-5 with the counter, no haste. So this is total desperation mode right here, like just hoping the double block's enough and it will find a way to deal with the 5-5 later on. But they have the pump spell, so just agonizing. And the thing is, like, things are bad, but like we could have been in this with a couple lands. As you could see, we have removal spells that can deal with what the opponent has going on. Though they're very close to outsizing them right now. And you could see me trying to calculate, like, basically how much is the 2/2 flyer worth right now. They find Finn. So we find a land. And Revenge, so it's like Revenge or Ravens or the Ooze is the question. And they actually have big creatures, so Revenge is not as good against big creatures, so I figure I have to try and play the Ooze. But this is just really unfortunate because we just need, like, just a little bit of help here. So they have the 5-5 and the 1-3. The 1-3 is going to start giving us poison counters, but that doesn't matter, like, at this point in time. So it is also dealing common damage, so we have to chump the 5-5, unfortunately. So we definitely need to draw a land here, or we just lose. We draw the land, but once again, this is all just infuriating, like that we weren't able to deploy things early on enough. I think this was a very winnable game. You could see it just slipping away because they have a 3-3, and you know, I think I really should have blocked the 3-3. I would have given them a 2-2 back, but that was worth a lot of life, and it would have taken a creature off the board to then play Revenge. Yeah, no, I think that was a misplay by me. Should have traded with the 3-3. They would have got their 2-2 back fine, and then we just slam Revenge of Ravens and hope that buys us enough time to take everything down. Now, with that pump spell in hand, you know, with the number of pump spells they've shown to have, might not have worked, but that's that. So, but yeah, not horrible. 5-3. Pretty happy with that, and had a lot of fun. Finally got to use Anya. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.